I wonder if you would sign up. Here's the advert, I'll read it, and then you can decide in your heart whether you would go. Men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful, honour and recognition in the event of success. Ernest Shackleton, 4 Burlington Street. Well, the modern doubters who doubt even the nose on the end of their face. Oh, did he put it in a paper? Where's the original paper? Shackleton put that advert in. We know he went to the pole. We know he had a crew when he went there. He must have somehow advertised his expedition. Yeah? So I don't really care if we don't have the original newspaper where someone was offered £100 to find the original advert. The fact is, Ernest Shackleton must have somehow advertised his intention to go on a journey. And we know men opted to go with him. This morning I want to build an advert, one which is even better than Shackleton's, because in the 2nd chapter of Thessalonians, Paul begins to speak about the nature of the Christian journey, the one that we are meant to make in the Christian faith. So let's build it up piece by piece. The way Shackleton's advert was carefully crafted, so is Paul's. And at the end, I hope we're able to say, I am for this journey. It might begin with the phrase, men and women wanted. And then look in verse 1 and 2. Hurt expected, but help offered. You know, brothers, that our visit to you was not a failure. We had previously suffered. So there's the hurt. We'd been insulted in Philippi, as you know, but with the help of our God. So Paul begins by talking about a heart, and then instantly spins and talks about the help from God, and we dare tell you his gospel in spite of strong opposition. Well, what the hurt was, what the insult was not some nasty word. They didn't just call a name. I know that in today's world, getting called a name, there's nothing worse. No, for Paul, what it was, and if you're fast in the book of Acts, you'll remember, he encounters a girl who is demonized. And rather than help her, the men who are with her decide they can use her for money. They profit from her suffering. And Paul, under God's Spirit, drives the spirit from the girl. And she's restored to her right frame of mind. Now, instead of saying, what a wonderful thing, the men who are in charge say, oh, that's a terrible thing. Because now our means of money making has come to an end. So they get Paul sent to prison in Philippi. And there he dwells. But in God's providence, he's spared. He even sees the conversion of the jailer. He's released. The jailer's household become Christian. And thus, even through that hurt, with God's help, the gospel spreads. It would be a very simple message if I could stand here and say, when you come to Christ, God removes all hurt. Now, some fall into the temptation of promising that. But as Spurgeon said, you've got to remember, God walks with you through valleys. Why are you praying to be shown a way around? when he wants to walk with you. Psalm 23, you are with me in the valley of the shadow of death. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. David doesn't pray in the psalm, you show me a loophole. You show me a way around so that I can avoid my hurt. It's part of the Christian journey that we experience hurt directly, but also in the lives of others, the people that we love. We encounter hurt. We want to remind ourselves of it. Though hurt is expected, help is offered. The people had to go through the Red Sea to get to the Holy Land. They had to go through the desert to get to the Holy Land. Jesus says, put down your cross and sail plain into glory. Pick up your cross and follow me, and I will help you with your burden. So our advert, I think, would read well if it said men and women wanted, hurt, expected, but help offered. The second thing we might say is praisers of God, not pleasers of people. Verses 3 to 6. The appeal we make does not spring from error or impure motives. We're not trying to trick you. On the contrary, we speak as men approved by God. We are not trying to please men, but God who tests our heart. You know, we never use flattery or cover up greed. God's our witness. And in case you didn't realise, we're not looking for praise from men, nor from you or anyone else. Isn't it a bit arrogant to believe that you could please God? I mean, really. Because God is perfect. And He's almighty. And you are born in time. And you're born in space. And you're limited. So are you telling me that an imperfect creature, by your own admission, is able to please a perfect being? Surely Paul is wrong. You're wrong in your advert. Is it not easier to please your neighbour, or your family member, or your boss in your work, or your overlord in government? Is it not easier to please those people because, after all, they're only people? But I think Paul would reject that, and he would say, no, we are right as Christians to put in the advert, we are praisers of God rather than pleasers of people, because instead of it being easier to please people than please God, it's impossible to please people. That's Paul's point. It is utterly impossible to fully please another human being, because they are broken like you and me, because their goalposts can shift like you and me, like the rules that they wanted to live under last week and all the words that they were happy for you to use last week can be completely different this week. What was orthodoxy in Britain last week is heresy in Britain this week. It's impossible to please an individual or a group of people who live on shifting sand. Not so with God. God is not fickle. He is not changing. He's unchanged. He's perfect, and He's revealed things to you and me. If you want to please me, trust me. Trust that I've made you. Trust that you're in my image. Trust that though you're broken, I would still love you and redeem you and guide you and fill you with my Spirit and change you more and more to be like my Son. And unlike the culture in which humans live, God doesn't change His mind from one week to the next. So if there's anybody in here who thought it would be easier, surely, to please people than please God, why would I want to burn myself out trying to please a perfect being. That's the only kind of being you can ever please and praise, is one that's perfect. So, men and women wanted. Hurt expected, but help offered. Praisers of God, not pleasers of people. The next line that might be nice in our advert, it would be honest and I think it would be very helpful. Family being formed, not faculty being attended. Verses 6 to 12. God's our witness, as apostles we could have been a burden, but we're gentle among you. Now notice the words that start to appear. They're all about family. We loved you. We delighted to share with you the gospel. You remembered brothers, our toil and hardship. We didn't want to be a burden, and God is our witness. For you know how we dealt as a father deals with his children, encouraging and comforting and urging you to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and glory. Brothers, Father, love. If there's anyone in here who uses the following expression, you've maybe used it for decades. Let's not. Let's today say, I'm not going to say that anymore. I go to that church. You ever use that expression? I go to that church. I want you to bin that this morning. I believe God is informing me. Bin it. Don't use it. It's no longer of value to us in this age. Don't say that. I go to that church. Or any other church that you had been attending. Don't say, I used to go there. At school, my name got used frequently by my teachers. Primary and secondary. I wish I could report always for the good. Edward, have you finished your work? No. Why are you talking then? Edward, are you giving all the answers to Derek that's sitting there? No. Well, get back. If you don't have the answers, don't you walk around marking other people's work. And thus it would go on and on and on. And it was pretty much the same in secondary. My name would be used frequently. But I got the shock of my life when I went to university. The faculty. Well, first of all, the Faculty of Science. Nobody used my name. There was no registration at university. Because at university, nobody actually cared whether you attended your lectures or not. As long as you handed in your work and sat exams, you need to attend no lectures. And that was a big shock to me. I recognised how a faculty at university was different from what I'd known at school. So much so that when Caroline was at Oxford, I said, I want to attend a lecture in this university, Oxford University, so that I can say I've attended one of the lectures. I said, but I don't want to attend it in your college and get you into trouble. So send me somewhere to another college and I'll attend in there. And Caroline said, well, you go down to this building near Broad Street, there's a theology lecture happening in there, you can go in and take notes. Will they say anything, I asked? She says, no, hardly anybody goes to lectures. They'll just think that you're one of the students that never turns up. Just go in and sit up the back and nobody will speak to you. So that's what I did. I went with pen and paper and I sat at the back of one of the other colleges and I took notes on a lecture that I can say in Oxford University. Nobody took my name, because after all it was just a faculty. For many people, for many years, that's what the church has been, a faculty. I go to that church. That's faculty talk. I go to that church. Faculty talk. You go to the faculty to learn something. You belong to the church family to be loved. There's a difference. You're not loved in the faculty. In fact, you're not even missed when you're not there. As long as you pay in your dues, sit your papers, hand in your essays, no one checks up. Let's not make the church like that. Paul is determined what the church is a family that's being formed. It's not a faculty that's being attended. So how might you say to a non-Christian out there about your relation to the church? Well, maybe instead of saying, I go to that church, you could say, I belong to that fellowship. I belong to that church family. I belong to that Christian family. Our advert would read, men and women wanted, heart expected, but help offered. Praisers of God, not pleasers of people. Family being formed, not faculty being attended. And then the last section, we might close our advert with this. And nothing can stop it. We thank God continually because you received the word of God that you heard from us. You know, brothers, you became imitators of God's churches in Judea. You suffered from your own countrymen the same thing as we suffered from the Jews, who killed the Lord Jesus. They displeased God. They're hostile to all men. Their effort is to keep us from speaking to the Gentiles so that they may be saved. In this way they heap up sins to the limit. The wrath of God has come upon them at last. Well, Paul could be talking about a famine that's driving them into the dust. He could be talking about one of the many conflicts that the ancient world experiences. He could be talking about the rumblings and the beginnings of the people of Israel being driven out of the Holy Land and the utter destruction of the temple. The Jews don't get back into that little piece of geography till after the Second World War, but it doesn't matter what particular insight Paul is looking at. He's making a claim. Nobody can stop it. Chairman Mao could not stop the Christian church in China. Joseph Stalin could not stop the Christian church inside the USSR. Nicola Sturgeon cannot stop the Christian church inside Scotland. Rishi Sunak cannot stop the Christian church inside the United Kingdom. An unbelieving spouse cannot stop the development of a Christian inside a home. Why do we make that claim? Because Jesus said, not even the gates of hell can prevail against my church. So the church grows, even in the harshest of environments. So we could close our advert, ready to take out. And how would it read? Well, I hope it would read as accurate as Shackleton, because I think he was honest about what you might experience if you went to Antarctica. We would say, men and women wanted, hurt expected, but help offered. Praisers of God, not pleasers of people. Family being formed, not faculty being attended. And nothing will be able to stop us. Jesus Christ. Penningham